Today we're going to investigate the Saturn return. It's a big thing that comes up in astrology, often mixed with a little bit of despair, a little bit of panic. People will say, oh, they're 29, they're 28, they're hitting their Saturn return. So what does that mean? Let's look at it. So first, when we talk about the Saturn return, we need to actually look at who Saturn is. What does Saturn represent in the birth chart? What does Saturn represent astrologically, archetypically out there in the cosmos? And how does it affect us here? Saturn is the planet of structure. Saturn is the planet of responsibility, discipline. It's very serious. But it's not a negative thing. We need this. We need this structure. We need this discipline in our lives. Otherwise, we'd be floating out in all sorts of directions and unable to ground and earth all these energies that we're inspired by, that we feel. So that's another aspect of Saturn. It's groundedness. It's rootedness. It brings meaning in a way. Saturn rules the 10th house. In astrology, the 10th house is all about our sense of purpose, our career, what we're known for, what we're seen for, our legacy that we'll leave behind. So all of these ideas come up when we talk about Saturn. So Saturn's in a certain place in your birth chart, the moment that you're born. So the Saturn return refers to it coming back around to the exact place that it was the moment that you were born. It happens about every 29 and a half years or so. So when this happens, oftentimes there can be turmoil in people's lives. It's well known that the Saturn return can bring up all sorts of stuff, and some people quite literally freak out when it happens. But why? What's the difficulty? Why would there be difficulty when these ideas of structure, responsibility, discipline, why, when those come around, is it challenging? The reason being is Saturn is now looking at us. It's asking you a question. It's asking you, are you in harmony with your sense of life purpose? Remember, 10th house, your career, what you've chosen to do in your life, the path that you've chosen to walk. Is it truly in harmony with your truth, with your sense of self-identity? So that's the first thing Saturn's going to ask you. You're going to look at that mirror. You're going to look at yourself, and you're either going to go, cool, this is great, I'm on my path, this is happening. Or you're going to go, I have never made a decision for myself or for what I want to do in my life. I've made all of these decisions because society or parents or teachers have told me that this is what I should do. And then you look at that and be like, this is not who I am and this is not what I want to do. So Saturn is going to crush that. Saturn is going to review your sense of structure and what you've built on. And if it isn't in alignment with who you are, you're going to feel turmoil inside. You're going to feel a challenge inside. And it's not something to panic about. It's something to seriously look at and then change. Take the opportunity to make moves to be more in alignment with who you are. So again, it's looking at your self-identity, your truth of who you are and what you've chosen to do. This also establishes your independence. In a way, you're breaking away from your youth and you're embracing the truth of your adulthood. You're establishing who you are and walking that path. So there can be a break there. Sometimes in our lives, it takes us a while to make that move. It's comfortable to listen to others. It feels more safe. You have trust in the people around you, which is not a negative thing, but there comes a point where you have to make your decision, and that's what Saturn is all about, and that's what Saturn is asking you to do, especially with that return. So you're looking at your self-identity, you're looking at your sense of establishing independence in life, in your world. You're breaking away from childhood, moving into adulthood, walking your path, walking your truth. So Saturn isn't a negative thing. Saturn return is not something to fear unless you're completely off your path, you're completely on a different trajectory than your inner core and your inner truth is asking you to be on. And this is something we can see in charts, and this is something we can read in astrology, which is a fantastic thing. So the first Saturn return comes around 28, 29, 30 years old, around there. The second one comes when you're 56. 57. Around there, your second Saturn return comes, asking you the same questions, but this time it's more of an evaluation. It's more of like, okay, first Saturn return, I checked myself out. I was off a little bit. I realigned. I moved through it, walked my path, started living my true purpose, started feeling my true sense of identity in life, accepting my adulthood and walking there. So then at 56 to 58, 59, you reevaluate. You're like, okay, how was that? Where am I at now? Am I still in alignment with what I felt like when I was 29, or is there something new coming up? How did I live my purpose? How did I live my truth? Where can I fix it? Where can I tighten it up? Again, Saturn, we're looking at the structure, we're looking at the foundation. And then we have to activate the discipline within ourselves to fix whatever needs fixing, and then continue forward, keep moving on. Then there's a new part of Saturn that comes up. Now we have wisdom. When you move into this part of your life, there's an elderhood that kicks in. It doesn't mean you're an old person. It doesn't mean it's over. What it means is you share wisdom. You use what you've learned, use the structure that you've built in your life, and you share that with others. Help other people along the road, along the way, trudging along. Guide them in a way that isn't implementing what you want them to be, of course, but guide them in a way that helps other people embrace their truth so they don't have a horrible Saturn return. So again, this is the beautiful thing about astrology. It's that self-awareness. It's that way of using the archetypes and using the planets and using the wisdom of what we read in the stars, applying it to our own lives, and then walking with that, walking in harmony with the cycles and the movements of these planets. So again, reevaluating who you are at that point, sharing that wisdom, and then walking on, keeping going with that structure and that foundation. Third Saturn return, if we're lucky enough to make it that far, with health and well-being, 84 to around 88, around that time. Your third Saturn return, and this marks the final chapter of our lives, looking at our legacy that we've left behind, looking at ourselves, reevaluating who we are, what we've done in life, and what we're leaving behind for others to learn from, for others to help build their foundations, their lives on. Again, it's tied into wisdom. And now, with peace, we complete that cycle, and Saturn moves on. Saturn rules death and loss. Saturn rules time. So this is a quick overview of what Saturn return means. Again, as you explore astrology, you'll probably hear a lot of people begin talking about it. You hear it come up, the dreaded Saturn return. But it's a blessing. It's a gift. Why is it a gift? Because it's going to help you ensure that you are on your path and living your truth, because that's what we need you to do. We need individuals in the life experience, gaining wisdom, having a solid foundation, giving others permission to do the same. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to what I have to say about the Saturn return. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It really helps me a lot to keep these messages going out there. And thank you so very much.